Thank you guys for having me here today. It's a pleasure to sit up and talk about Waxahachie. Everybody thinks I'm a native, but my mother and dad, my dad was from Forreston, Texas. He graduated in 1958. He tells everybody that he was in the top of his class, top 5 in his class, because there was only 5 in the class. My mom went to Waxahachie High School and graduated in 1958, and so they were high school sweethearts, so they ended up at UTA in Arlington. Back then it was Arlington College. So they went for a year and then they got married, but they stayed in Arlington. So I was born in Arlington, but 5 years later they came back home, built a house, so I went all through school in Waxahachie, my brother and I. My younger brother, he's 2.5 years younger. My wife Jean is a local pediatrician. She's been doing that job for 31 years now here, and everybody knows Dr. Jean. And so, yeah, I remember riding in the parade one year, and I could hear the kids along the path, and they would say, "Who's that man sitting in that car up front?" And they said, "I don't know who he is, but that's Dr. Strength sitting there next to me." But I spent the last 10.5 years on this council trying to make Waxahachie a better place. We have 4 children. They were raised here. We have 3 grandchildren. 2 are in Maryland and 1 is local, so I finally got 1 here local. But I really enjoyed spending the time working in the city and seeing the city grow, and look forward to serving you. City growth and managing the growth. The market will do a lot of that on its own. The number of lots that are put down on new housing, and usually developers bring in the roadways. Sometimes we help, sometimes we use impact fees to help pay for that stuff. But I think that the biggest thing for me is that I don't like to let the old part of town, the part that's here, go down in stature while we're building new things. So I spent a lot of time putting together a street program that we didn't have before I got here to just make the old part of town look better, fix the streets. You know, when you fix the streets, we ask the question, how much is it going to cost to fix the streets on top of if we add sidewalks and street lamps? That number was 3%. So that's not a lot to pay to have the quality of life that we have, what everybody's talking about right now. So really, the older part of Waxahachie is what everybody is fell in love with. So that's my biggest, streets are one of my biggest deals. And when I got here, the city was spending $300,000 a year on an $80 million project, which, as you can see, they'll never make it up. So in the past 10 years that I've been on here, we have spent right at $58 million on streets, 48 million of which are corridor restorations, meaning curb, gutter, water, sewer, gas, the whole 9 yards pavement, and another little over 9, close to 10 million on scarification, where we take the pavement up, put it back down as new. And I'm really proud of that. And I think it builds community spirit. And you can see that people paint their houses and fix them up, and it just looks, it makes Waxahachie look like a Norman Rockwell painting. And at the same time, as the new people are coming in, they're looking at the amenities that we have here in Waxahachie. They're looking at the parks. And when I got on the council, a lot of the parks, you know, we have Getting There Park, which is a lot of money has been put into Getting There. It's the most beautiful park we've got. But a lot of the other parks that are out there haven't been touched since I was a kid, because they've still got the monkey bars with my name scratched on them. So, you know, you just wonder. So, you know, 7 years in, you know, when we got in, we said, okay, it's a downturn in the economy. We're in a recession in 2010, and so we don't have a lot of income. We can do things. So we needed to, we've had 2 fire stations since 1963, and I can tell you we've got a lot more calls than we did in 1963. We had a police station that was underwater every time it rained. They were in car tables in the hallways, looking for room. And you could see that a lot of that has been left out that is priority. So if we said, okay, these are our priorities, and we're going to stick with them, and if it's not in this pile, we're not going to spend any money on it. So that left out quality of life for quite a bit of years, about 7 years. And but then we started noticing, since we were taking care of the business we're supposed to take care of, that a lot of people were seeing that, and the economy came back, and we were able to go do the parks and things. And that's the cherry on top. That's why people are coming here, because of the quality of life here. You know, it's not exciting to see pipe going in the ground. But without pipe going in the ground, there's nothing that comes here, nothing can come here. That's where the money's at. So we've done all of the things to set us up for the future going forward. And I think my biggest, the thing that I'm most excited about is we have stood in front of everyone and said, we're not going to do these things, we're going to do the things that we need to do that are not, you know, glamorous, because if we don't, it's going to catch us, and in the end, it's going to come up. So we built a police department, we built a fire station, we got another one coming in 2 years. We've staffed the firemen and police. Every year we go right back to the top, public safety. What do you need? You need dispatchers. We're funding 3 firemen every year till we get to 2 years from now. We're going to build a station to the south. So what that does is lower your insurance rates. And so we're trying to help you at that point also on that note. But I really think that we have really been diligent in what we're doing. I'm excited about downtown. I have a passion for Waxahachie East. For years, Waxahachie East has been neglected. Chuck Beatty, former Mayor Chuck Beatty, and I worked on trying to get that area up to par like the rest of town. We worked on every area of town. We haven't left any of it out. You know, one of the people that's running talks about the old hospital being a boondoggle. And, you know, like we made a mistake, we shouldn't have taken it from Baylor. But, you know, we got 8 acres from Baylor. Also, it was, the mayor was responsible for doing that. We got 8 acres from Baylor and the building. So, and we're looking for a developer. We've been talking to several developers. Well, we don't have to spend the money to tear the building down, but they will do it and come in and do all that kind of thing. So, I like the old part of town. That's what I was raised with. You know, I'm sad to see the viaduct getting shut down or torn down, but I love the new ones coming into town. And I'm proud of the amphitheater. I think that's a quality of life issue. And all of the sidewalks that the mayor's brought in to tie all of the trails and things together. The Chapman Trail project, all those things. I'm very excited about what's going on in the future. Well, my vision is to continue that. I really think that, you know, I've been on the COG, the North Central Texas Council of Governments, and I've been the president of that board, and over 7.5 million people in 16 counties. So, you know, we did 360, we're doing the bridge at Walter Grove Drive, we've done 35, we've done all that. But it's still not as exciting as seeing what we've got going on downtown and what was there before and what's there now, and what all is happening in the heart of the area. And that's very exciting to me, so that's my passion. The tax rate when we came in was, it was 63 cents when we came in, and we moved it to 68 because we were in a downturn in 2010. And so we raised it a nickel, and we ended up putting more than a nickel into the street program that was non-existent. So since the growth of the city and we got out of the recession, we've been putting it in places that have been neglected for a long, long time. Like we said, public safety, streets, you know, finally into quality of life in the parks and things like that. You know, this time when we lowered it 2 cents, we understood that people were hurting, and we wanted to make a difference in where they could see some relief, and we were able to do it. But we're not gonna be able to do it every time because the first things that are cut are your streets or your quality of life. So streets just keep coming. You know, they have a 20-year life, 25-year life, if you take care of them along the way. Every year they go up. You know, an example of a corridor restoration is Curvin Avenue that was $2.3 million. And the total capital outlay on the streets was $7 million for the whole town. So when you have several streets that are going down at one time, you can see how that adds up really quick. So the new monies that are coming in are generally spent on things like that, not frivolously, not doing just stuff that doesn't make sense. The quality of life issues that we've been dealing with and all of that is very important to compete with the other towns. You know, so when we look at the tax rate, we're looking at what are we going to cut out of here if we're going to cut it. We also have to keep staff. We've been talking about staffing levels. When we came in, we had a skeleton crew, and it took 30 days to get a line located on a single-family home permit, much less a permit. We're talking about just locating where the water is, and then we go through a process to get the water. Right now, we're at the average of 3.6 days on a residential permit for the whole permit. And we're at an average of 10 days, I think 7.6 days is what it is as an average on commercial property. So some take longer because they come in, they don't have all the things, all that kind of thing, but the average is 7.6 days on commercial where it could have been 6 months before. So what we recognized is that we weren't up to date on the computerization of City Hall. And we weren't up to date on the staffing of City Hall. So we've been slowly bringing that up. And for a long time, we couldn't get the city manager to do it whether we wanted to or not. So we had to make a move, and we had to send him on his way, and which was not an easy thing to do. But then when our new city manager, Michael, came around, we said, okay, we want a championship team. We've got a freight train coming at us, and we don't want to be riding this mule. And so that's what we've done. And so I think right now we're staffed at good levels all the way across the board: police, fire, water, sewer, parks, you know, you name it. But at the time we weren't. So I'm really pleased with what we've been able to do with our staff and what we're getting from the staff. And what that turns into is we have time to plan. Because if you're robbing Peter to pay Paul with your time, and you're sitting up there at the office at 9 o'clock with some tomorrow, and trying to get through all the amount of paperwork, you don't have time to plan for what's coming down the pipe in the water system. So we found a lot of things falling through the cracks because they're short-handed. So right now we've got people picking those things up and running them on through, and we get things like this right here. So the services to our citizens are 100 times better. And so when it comes to cutting the tax rate, your question is, what services do you want to cut? That's my answer to that, because we're going to spend it on the services for the citizens. We're not spending it for our own backyard. And so y'all have to tell me what we're cutting. Do you want me to stop mowing the parks? Do you want me to stop building the parks? Do you want me to cut the police force? Do you want me to cut the firemen? What is it we're going to cut? Because normally it's streets and quality of life first, because public safety has to be up here. So it's very hard to answer the question on, because I've lived here a long time, you know, my taxes are way out of proportion. And I don't like it like anybody else, but a $350,000 house here in town, the city tax is less than $200 a month. That's phone costs more. And we're getting police and fire and all the other amenities on top of it. So it's really not much of it.
I need a minute on economic development, Kevin. What do you see the future of Waxahachie being when it comes to economic development, abatements, incentives, those kind of things, to attract new businesses to Waxahachie?
Well, I think first of all, on economic development, you have to have the infrastructure in the ground, or you have to have something that's going to cause the infrastructure to come in the ground. Like, for instance, the high school project out here. is we're looking, we work closely with the school district, we talk back and forth about what we need to do, and we sit down and we look at it logically so we don't have to pay for it 2 times. You know, you're in the school district and in the city, so you end up paying twice. So I think that those type things and those type moves are it opened up 3,000 acres on the west side of the city, just building a high school over there. So the land was a little more, but we got to wrap the whole corridor in water over there for $3 million. Whereas if we would have put it anywhere else, it would have cost us $30 million to bring the roads in and all that. So we're always looking at the ways that we can work together to save the taxpayers' money in all aspects of everything. We work for the county. To me, that's economic development. It's putting in the infrastructure and looking ahead. I've really enjoyed serving the citizens of Waxahachie for the last few years. I've got to work with a lot of great people, and there's a lot of people in this town, and a lot of them sitting at this table and all over the table that love Waxahachie and want to see it grow right and want to keep our spirit, because that's what Waxahachie has, is a spirit. And it's exciting to know that we got this many people who really care, and I commend all the people sitting at this table, because I know what the commitment is, what you're making, and it's not an easy thing. And I know what y'all's commitment is too, because it's not an easy thing. But I really enjoyed it, and I want to thank my wife for allowing me to do it. I got to say something. I got to do this. My cousin John Wilson passed away about a month ago. And he was a captain in the fire department. We were really close. But we always did things to each other. We would play jokes and practice jokes. So one day I drove around and I found out I'd been driving around for a month. And there was a sticker on my car and I didn't know it. It said, "I'm a go-getter. I take my wife to work and I go get her." And so basically, when I'm not picking up my wife, I'm working for y'all, and it's been fun, and I really enjoyed it, and I want to thank my wife for allowing me to do it.